Hello again, everybody. This is Steve coming to you with another Writing Musings. This is number 12. I have a couple of simple things for you today. Just actually got off some editing that I was doing today on my own books. Jenna's Journey specifically, because I'm trying to get that one cleaned up, but I'll cover that in a second here. Anyways, I just wanted to cover a bunch more topics that I think are important for you guys to know and understand as authors. I know of those who subscribe to my YouTube and Rumble, not all of you are authors. I get that. Some of you are just here for the books. I totally get that too. And I appreciate you guys for coming in and listening to my audiobooks. And for those of you that have gone over and purchased my books or got the free copies that are out there, I appreciate you guys for doing that. Because, as an author, that is, to me, more important than money. That you guys go out, you grab the books, you read the books, you enjoy them. As I've said before, the money prices I set on those books is there to push them up the rankings. It's not there for me to make money, because I don't make enough money to do anything more than cover the costs, and not even that. So, anyways, I'm not going to beat on that. I've mentioned it before, but I figured to touch on it again just briefly before I started into this, because I know sometimes it needs to be reminded to some people. They're like, if you do this just for a hobby and just for fun, why are you charging for it? SEO, plain and simple. That's pretty much all it is. That and trying to help cover costs. But anyways, on to point one. I wanted to touch on the space distances and combat thing from last time. That one, I know this is going to come up in questions, so I figured to head this off ahead of time. Maybe I don't. Maybe you guys have already spammed the comment section on my number 11, and you're asking all these questions. Because I'm recording this well in advance of this going up online. So, you probably have already watched. By the time you see this one, you would have already watched Musings 11 and been like, okay, I got all these extra questions for you. So this one's going to try to answer those questions. Since I tend to like to work ahead, I may not directly answer your questions from 11 until I get up to like 13 or 14 or later on, but I'll get them answered. Like I said, I know this one I didn't touch on it much last time. I think I kind of like mentioned it, but that was about it. But, like when it comes to space distances, actual space combat is like really, really far apart. You're not up close and personal like they are in the movies. So why are they up so close in the movies and TV shows and stuff like that? Well, you got to consider, in space, because of the speeds and the distances and stuff, you have to be really far apart, because you can close distances really fast out there. But when you're talking about something cinematic, you've got this little 16 by 9 frame, this theater frame of reference, or in the older days it was 4 by 3 resolution. You got that little tiny window. If you want to think about it this way, it's like looking through the porthole on a ship. You've got this very narrow tunnel vision view of what's going on out there. In order to see everything that's going on, you have to cram everybody shoulder to shoulder, armpit to armpit, in order to see everything that's going on. That's why, like I mentioned in the last one, Picard Season 1, Episode 10, when all those ships jumped in on top of each other, just armpit to armpit, in real combat, they wouldn't do that. They would be spread out over hundreds of thousands, if not millions of miles between ships. But since it's cinema, in order to get everything into the frame, they have to literally just be stacked on top of each other like cordwood. So that's the primary reason you see it that way. In actual books, you're going to be talking about, books, or even real life, you're going to be talking about massive distances between them. That's why I mentioned The Expanse, that The Expanse shows it more realistically, where there's large distances between vessels and stuff. So anyways, moving on to the next thing. Character flipping. I've mentioned this before, and I'll bring this up again because I ran into this in my editing of Jenna's Journey. Now, the fun part is this has been in the book for over 10 years, and I did not catch it until today. As I was going through there, all of a sudden, just for some reason, this jumped out at me. And why it didn't jump out before, I don't know. But this right here is a great example of character flipping. What I mean by that is you have two characters that just suddenly change places and change roles. And it's completely unintentional. I've done it with a bunch of books. I've gone in and found it where person A is saying one thing and he's got a certain personality, and person B is saying something different and he's got a different personality. And all of a sudden, the two of them change names. They change names, change places, change a whole bunch of things. And that's something that as a writer you're going to run into, something you're going to do. It's not intentional. You're following the story, but sometimes the story gets lost on the way there and weird things happen and you have to come in and correct that. Because you have to remember, the story tells you where to go, it guides the ship, it does all this other stuff, but sometimes you have to take the wheel and make course corrections, because the story will sometimes take you down weird rabbit holes that you shouldn't, or rabbit trails you shouldn't be going down. But like this right here is a great example. You have Rocket, then Sid again, but Sid's doing what Rocket should be doing. So you see where this flip happened. It was Sid's running things in the background, Rocket's doing things in the foreground, but then suddenly Rocket becomes Sid. It's still Rocket, it's just I put Sid's name in there. I've actually corrected this in the manuscript, but I wanted to show you this. This is character flipping right here. You have Sid, he's in the background, suddenly Sid starts doing what Rocket's doing, and Rocket's doing what Sid's doing, and it's like, you're not supposed to do that. So, and like I say, I've had them change. Completely unintentionally. You're just following the story, and the story decides to drive you off a cliff and go some weird directions. And as an author, you've got to be aware of that and catch those things and fix them. So, I wanted to bring that up and show that to you guys so that you would keep that in your mind when you're working on your stories, because that will happen. It happens to everybody. I don't care if you're Johnny Nobody or Arthur C. Clarke or Larry Niven or any of those guys like that. Brandon Sanderson even does it, I know. I don't have specific examples where I've seen his manuscripts and seen him do that. I'm saying it from the perspective of, I know authors, and I've done it, who say they've done it. Pretty well-known authors who are like, I'll mention about character flipping and scene flipping and stuff like that, where everything's going along just fine, and all of a sudden everything just flips, or people change places and stuff like that. And they're like, oh yeah, I've done that before. So I'm pretty sure Brandon's done that. I know guys like Arthur C. Clarke and C.S. Lewis and all of them, they would have had to have done it at some point in time, because it's something that happens to everybody. Doesn't matter how big or small you are, everybody shares the same thing. So anyways, that is something just for you to keep in the back of your mind as you're writing, because you want to keep an eye out for that, because that will happen. It's not very often, but as you're writing along, you will accidentally flip stuff, and you got to go and find it and fix it. Otherwise, your reader's going to be over there completely confused out of their gourd, going, "What the heck just happened?" like Night of the Body Switchers or something. But anyways, that then brings me to point 3, which I've mentioned before, is stay humble. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to fail. You're going to fail just like the big guys do. Big guys, little guys, doesn't matter how experienced you are, you will make mistakes. So don't think you've arrived, despite how good you might get. You'll never arrive. You might reach certain plateaus, and certain good things will happen to you. But never think that you are at your pinnacle. You can always get better, and there's also always somebody better than you. So always push yourself. Always strive to do better. Your mission isn't to have everybody love you and bow down at your feet and kiss your toes and all that kind of stuff. If you are a true and proper author, your goal is to constantly push yourself to be a better at editing, better at storytelling, better at story creation and things like that, and just push. And you will never reach your pinnacle until the day you die. There is always room to get better. So you should always push to get better. Never settle for what you are. Once you get to a point, push higher. It's like climbing a mountain. Do you go up 20 feet and stop? No. If you're a mountain climber, you're going to keep going for the top of that mountain. If that mountain happens to be, infinitely tall, you just keep moving up. If you have to do 20-foot plateaus, you go up 20 feet, stop, go up 20 feet, and when I say stop, you stop and rest. Or like from a story perspective, you've done your best at that 20-foot plateau, and you release that story. Okay, well, the next story, now you want to push for that 40-foot plateau. And then with the next one, you want to push for the 60-foot and the 80-foot and so on. So always push to get better, and always remember you are not the best you can be. You're not the best that you've ever been. Well, you are the best you've ever been at that point, but you're not the best that you will ever be. There's always room to get better, always room to climb higher. I mentioned that in a previous video, so I'm not going to beat on that too much. But like I say, remember, you need to push yourself. You are your own biggest hindering factor. So, always push yourself, but stay humble in the process, knowing that, you aren't there. You aren't the best. You aren't the greatest thing since sliced bread. You are different levels of better and better and better. And you will always have that goal of being better, because you know that you'll never be your absolute best, or the absolute best that you can ever be, until the day you die. Because at that point you can't go any higher. So you want to push and keep going up those 20-foot plateaus until you die, basically. Just keep going. Never quit. Always try to get better. That being said, I wanted to throw two of these at you. I mentioned these before, but I wanted to bring them back up because I know some of you probably who are newer to the channel haven't heard these, or haven't heard me mention about this. If you haven't, please go back and watch my other writing videos, because this is a really important thing, I think, is for those of you who are authors or thinking about being an author. Oops. Go ahead. Typoed that one, didn't I? There we go. See, I even make mistakes. But yeah, I'm working on Jenna's Journey right now, which I've mentioned. That one is, excuse me, that is a split storytelling style. You tell the first part of the story from the perspective of the supporting and incidental characters, and then you tell the story again from the perspective of the main character. It seems like a lot of work and like you're doubling up on your stuff, but really it's a fascinating way to tell a story, because like in a normal novel you would tell the two of them together. This one you tell those two viewpoints separately, and you do them with a lot more detail, and there's the fact that the two halves have to match. There's the fact that how does this impact the main character, how does the main character impact this. And it's like I say, it's a fascinating way to write, and it's a challenge. It's a real challenge. I've thrown the idea at a few other fellow authors, and they're like, "Ooh, that one would be a handful." Like, yeah, it's not easy. It's definitely a lot of work, but it's worth it. I totally say it's worth it. It's a fun writing style, and it's a challenge, and it will push you. It will stretch you. So I just want to bring that out there to encourage you. Try it if you haven't, because like I say, even though I've mentioned it before, I still want to say try it. It's worth the effort. The other one is letter style storytelling. That's the one which I mentioned before. That's you tell the whole story as though you tell it through letters back and forth between people. With the most famous one that has ever used this is the Screw Tape Letters by C.S. Lewis. And that one's interesting because that's basically letters back and forth between two different demons, a senior demon and a kind of a newbie, in a sense. And it's really interesting how it's done. It's not easy. I mean, you think the split story telling style is difficult. Letter style really, really will push you, because you're basically telling this in a first-person narration style, but there are multiple parties. So you're telling us through letters from multiple people, back and forth, sometimes just one-sided, and it is not easy. I tried it once before and failed miserably. It's that difficult. It doesn't sound like it would be difficult, but once you get in there and you realize what you need to do to build the story, to do the background, to do the scenery and everything, it is hard. And I'm not just saying this and then like, oh yeah, I tried it and failed, I'm never going to do it again. No, I still have a plan to do that. I've got the original story the story concept still in my mind, that I attempted with this. And I've grown a bunch since I last tried that. So one of these days, I'm going to go in and I'm going to try it again. It's one of those things, okay, you tried and you failed, fine. Come back and try it again. I knew I needed to grow a bit more, so I haven't attacked it again. But I think I've grown it far enough that I can try it again and maybe succeed at it this time. So that's a good one. Like I say, if I wouldn't suggest newbies do that one. I would say if you're a seasoned author and you want something that is going to really stretch you, try the letter style storytelling. If you need an example of how to do it well, Screwtape Letters is a great one. I don't have any other examples I can give you because it's a really rare style because it is so hard to do. But of those who have done it, Screwtape Letters is the one that sticks out in my mind as being the best. It's also the, since I can't think of any others, it tells you how, one, how rare it is, and two, how well C.S. Lewis did on that. So anyways, I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to throw out here. I've covered most of what I needed to in this episode. So, I didn't have a lot to share. Last time I got it out there, it was over 30 minutes, so I'm at 16 and a half, and I'm pretty much done. But if you guys have any questions, things you want me to answer, things you want me to throw into a musings for others to share, or both, or whatever, let me know. I would be happy to answer your questions. I'm happy to take the knowledge and experience I have as an author and send it your way to help you become a better author. And I think at some point in time I will probably cover in a writing fundamentals video how to deal with like marketing and conventions and stuff like that. I did a marketing series, it was 3 videos I think it was, but then realized I've been out of the marketing side of things for so long and so much has changed, I just deleted those. So what I'm going to do is, as I start expanding back out into conventions and book shows and other stuff like that, and start actually being on the ground doing that hands-on marketing and some of the online marketing more than I'm doing now. I'm doing a little now, but once I get back into it full time and start really being hands-on and I know what works, what doesn't, how things have changed, because things now versus 10 years ago is night and day. That was one thing I figured out real quickly is the stuff I had that I worked with 10 years ago does not exist today, and stuff that I didn't have 10 years ago exists today. There's a whole new way of doing book marketing. So, some of the old standbys are still there, but then there's a lot of new stuff. So, once I get myself a little more situated where I understand it better, I will try to do a fundamentals video that will cover that. Also, I'm thinking about doing, and I think I've mentioned it before, but nobody responded on it, unfortunately. But if you guys want to do like some scene writing classes, action, writing action scenes, things like that, let me know. I can do it over Discord. I can probably do a live session where we can talk about it. I got to do some changes to get to make it possible to live stream, but if you guys are interested, I will happily live stream a training class, half hour, 45 minutes. Here's how you go in and you do this and how you build that and stuff like that. I think most of that would be for the newer authors, because any of you like myself who've been into this for a while, you already know how to do these things. But if you're somebody who's new, which is what a lot of my videos, my fundamentals videos are focused towards, if you're new and you need help, or even if you're, you've been doing this for a while and you need help, maybe spit and shining or polishing up your writing action scenes, dialogue, descriptions, etc. like that, let me know. Like I say, I'm happy to do classes if you guys want to do classes. If you just want me to do how-to videos and fundamentals videos, I can do those too. Whatever is going to help you guys. Just let me know. Anyhow, that's all for this musings, and I will catch you guys later. Thanks.